detail. Oh. Right. Right. Forward. Up.
Good evening. On behalf of the Avon Town staff and the Avon Town Council, we are pleased to welcome you all here tonight for this vigil. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mary Louise with the town of Brownsburg.
Thank you, Don. Good evening, and welcome to this very special evening of remembrance of our friends and neighbors here in Hendricks County who have died due to COVID. If you haven't already, please take a moment now to light a candle and place it on a windowsill or on a balcony so that you can show the community that you too are participating in this vigil. This ceremony would not have been possible without the support of a community resource that has been serving Hendricks County residents throughout this pandemic. In fact, the Hendricks County Community Foundation has been serving residents since 1996 through funding organizations that serve young and old. It is my pleasure to welcome William Roadhamel, who is the president and CEO of the Hendricks County Foundation, to speak. William.
Thank you, Mary Louise. We gather tonight to remember the lives lost and the lives touched over the past year by the COVID-19 pandemic. Candlelight vigils like ours tonight, even virtual ones, are an important way of pausing and remembering. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this. We've lost too many of our family members, our friends, and our neighbors to this virus. Others have had their lives upended. None of us have been spared the pain, the fear, or the anxiety. A year ago tonight, the Hendricks County Community Foundation had just completed our 2019 Community Needs Assessment and embarked on a 5-year scope of work to build more community unity. Our goals are to increase civic engagement, encourage collaboration and efficiency, and increase community pride. Our plans, like everyone else's, shifted a year ago. The Community Foundation immediately deployed our relationships and resources to respond to the crisis. We saw an amazing outpouring of generosity over the last year. So many gave of their time, their talent, and their treasure to make a bad situation better. It was humbling to be part of the ongoing effort to help those who are hungry, homeless, hurting, or without hope. Since the virus struck, we've seen our families, our friends, our neighborhoods, and our community come together in new ways, caring for each other, supporting those who are sick, protecting those who are at risk, feeding those who are hungry, comforting those who are grieving, and honoring those essential workers and healthcare heroes who made getting through this possible. And it seems we may be getting through this. We still need to follow the recommendations to keep each other safe, to wear masks, to socially distance, to use proper hygiene, and to get vaccinated when it's our turn. But there is hope. And we also need to be dedicated to the task before us, to get back to normal, and to bring our community together in new ways as we emerge from this crisis. We honor those whose lives have been lost and those whose lives have been affected in this terrible time. May God bless them and keep them all. And let us continue caring for each other. And let us be dedicated to the great task of coming together to make Hendricks County a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, William. For the past 2 years, Jared McKee has served as the Chief of Police for the town of Plainfield. A Plainfield High School graduate, Chief McKee has served for more than 20 years with the PPD. Chief McKee's leadership in the areas of community engagement and public service have garnered him respect from throughout the county. The pandemic has added a layer of danger to all of the jobs of our first responders. This is not any different around the world than it is here in Hendricks County. Every day, our first responders put on their uniforms, knowing that danger could be around any corner. COVID-19 has added an extra level of danger to these jobs. Chief McKee was able to help his team to deal with the daily stresses and keep their morale high. He also has had with his officers hands-on, street-level experience in dealing with COVID-19. He will share with us how he thinks COVID has affected our community. It's my pleasure to welcome Chief Jared McKee.
David wrote in Psalm 35, "Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes with the morning." Good evening, and thank you for joining us here for a night of remembrance. 365 days ago today, COVID-19 was declared an emergency under the National Emergencies Act. Our lives were dramatically flipped upside down in a matter of days. Since that day, our nation has experienced over 500,000 deaths, and over 29 million people have contracted the virus. Hendricks County alone has lost 323 lives. We gather today to remember not only those lost to the virus, but also reflect on the destructive trail it has continued to leave behind. The mental health crisis created by isolation and uncertainty has undoubtedly taken and broken countless more lives, and we cannot ignore or forget this. I stand before you today not with a message of sorrow and despair, but with more of a focus on some of the joy and peace that has emerged. Over the past 12 months, fear has gripped my family many times. However, what I remember the most are the relationships that were forged through this trial. For the first time in my life, I saw neighborhoods that stopped and showed up not just for a moment to remember a tragedy or to celebrate a holiday, but for days, weeks, and months to simply be with each other. In the sun-drenched days of spring and summer, my greatest joy was to simply walk out the front door and see the commandment of love thy neighbor played out on a daily basis. Groceries were purchased and delivered for those that could not make it out. Checking in on the elderly was not something that we just did once in a while, but a daily routine. I was able to meet and become friends with my neighbors, who for years were nothing more than a friendly exchange of a wave. We now spent quality time together, sharing with one another our fears and dreams of a better future. To stop and smell the roses no longer was just a catchy phrase we told one another when life was too busy, but it was something that we were forced to experience. For the first time, we recognized and appreciated the essentialness of our grocery store workers, delivery drivers, and all the others providing our daily needs while we were locked in our homes. Every day they went to work fearful of the unknown, but focused on the needs of our communities. Once again, our first responders, healthcare workers, and teachers became the local heroes, as they navigated through the unknown. Healthcare workers placed themselves in harm's way daily to ensure they were providing the best level of care for a virus they had little knowledge about. Educators were scrambling to find ways to provide our children with new and innovative ways to keep them engaged and wanting to learn. And our first responders were again working day and night, receiving and responding to calls for help, or conducting a drive-by birthday party with lights and sirens for children that could not celebrate with family and friends. 2020 was unique, to put it mildly. And just when we thought we were content with just a global pandemic, 2020 had other plans, and it created a perfect storm. As we progressed into a new normal of doing life in masks and 6 feet apart, we then experienced natural disasters of epic proportions and the earthquake of civil unrest throughout the country. Equality, inclusion, and diversity became the focus throughout the nation, with screams of "I can't breathe" heard worldwide. This forced communities to take a hard look in the mirror and begin asking if they were doing everything they could for every member of their community. I believe there was no better time to begin these tough conversations. The walls of individuality had already begun to crumble, and a focus on others was blooming. Community leaders came together and spent time listening to our communities and responding with compassion, empathy, and action. A county unity statement was carefully and thoughtfully crafted to remind us of what we value as a community. It states, Hendricks County is dedicated to nurturing a diverse, inclusive, and accessible community. We will encourage peaceful and productive dialogue, authenticity, and the celebration of cultures. Our vision is that Hendricks County is a place where all feel welcome and confident in their ability to belong, connect, and grow. We will demonstrate what is possible when community members come together. Moving on, we looked on to January 1st, 2021 to be the magical date that this strange journey might end with a new beginning. But I believe, like anything, new beginnings take time. The soil must be ready to accept the seed. It must be watered and protected from extremes, and through time, the seed becomes a strong and mighty tree. But just like the towering redwood tree, it becomes vulnerable when it stands alone. But when the redwood intertwines its roots with other redwoods, all holding on together, their stability is greatly increased to withstand future adversity. For they're brighter, stronger, and better together. Our soil has been prepared, and our seeds have been planted. Our job now, moving into the unknown future, is to continue what we have started. We must continue to be good neighbors. We must continue to give grace, show compassion, empathy, and continue to move toward action to protect these seeds we planted in the year 2020. Cared for correctly, we can grow a community that will be able to weather any storm. This is our burden to bear for our future generations. We must stay steadfast in our belief that tomorrow will be better than today, and Hendricks County will be brighter, stronger, and better together. To start wrapping this up, I want to share a quote from Bob Peterson found in the Plainfield Magazine March edition. He said, "A good life is all about positive thinking. Negativity doesn't get you any place except in trouble." In remembrance of all the lives lost over the past year, I encourage you to live a good life, for their life was cut short. Be the change you want to see. In closing, Jesus left us with a message of peace. In John 14:27, he said, "Peace I leave you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Thank you, God bless you, and peace be with you.
Thank you so much, Chief, for that incredibly powerful message. That was beautiful. I would like to ask those who are here in attendance to light their candles and join me here as we prepare to have our moment of silence. While folks are gathering here next to me, I want to share that a year ago today, former President Donald Trump declared that the pandemic was a national emergency here in the United States. Today, as you've heard, more than 300 of our fellow neighbors, residents, and friends have passed away due to COVID. We are going to, as soon as our folks gather, have a brief moment of silence to recognize, remember, and reflect upon our friends and neighbors. Those of you at home, please do join us now as we celebrate a moment of silence to recognize and remember our friends and neighbors. Thank you so much. We are joined tonight by Kelly Benedetto, who is the president of the Danville Chamber of Commerce. Kelly will share with us ways that we can move into our future together. Kelly. Take this off. Sorry.
Price of getting old. It's hard to believe it has been a year since the world changed as we knew it. Restaurants, shops, and businesses closed their doors with the thought of reopening and returning to normal after 2 short weeks. Weeks turned into months for some, and for others, it turned to never opening their doors again. We are sad for the loss of those businesses. However, our community members rose to the challenge. People started ordering carry-out. They purchased gift cards for friends and family to ensure that when businesses reopened, they would have a steady stream of business coming through their doors. The community reached out and offered assistance however they could. Our businesses felt the love and appreciation. The business community is grateful to the customers for rising to the challenge, wearing masks, social distancing, and following protocols set in place to keep people safe and their doors open. We are also grateful to the local health department, hospitals, and hundreds of volunteers who have worked hard to get the vaccine to those who need it. It will enable our community to get back to normal, our businesses to thrive and prosper. With that, we give sincere thanks to our community for their support and diligence in helping to keep our businesses open and our community moving forward. Please keep this in mind when you're going out and supporting our businesses.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It has been my honor to serve as your Mistress of Ceremonies for tonight's vigil. I would like to thank the towns of Avon, Brownsburg, Danville, Plainfield, Hendricks County for their involvement in making tonight possible. We are particularly grateful to our friends here in the town of Avon for hosting this event. And we have many thanks to give to our friends with the Hendricks County Community Foundation who provided the luminarias for us and also the services of Ash Interactive who are helping to bring this program to you. I'm going to thank each of you for joining us tonight, for caring about your community and your neighbors. Please continue to mask up, stay safe. Good night.